So I read a book specifically about New York City and about the city itself and the structures, how it's built, how it's torn apart, how it's rebuilt, and it's called Vanishing New York: How a Great City Lost Its Soul by Jeremiah Moss. It is a really good book. I read this book because of the recommendation of I watched a show, Do Dissidents on the internet on YouTube and Rumble, and Russell Dobular is one of the hosts, and he suggested this book as being his one of his favorites. This and another book, and whenever anyone's asked for a recommendation to the book, he says, "Okay, read this one." So I got it from the New York Public Library, where it's due, like yesterday. So it's people are reading this book. It's not that old. It's from 2017. And it grew out of a blog by this person, Jeremiah Moss, whose real name is Griffin Hansberry. I believe that's what Griffin Hansberry. And Jeremiah Moss is a pen name. And Jeremiah Moss is from New England, Griffith Hansberry, and arrived in New York City as a 22-year-old in 1993, is what he said, yeah. Whereas I did not arrive in New York City until I was, 32 years old, whatever it was, in 1984. So I've been here about 10 years longer than the writer of this book. And so a lot of it is, something I understand and have seen and living in the same neighborhood, basically. So they have a particular personal thing about their story, which is talked about just in the beginning, which I think perhaps makes them a little more sensitive. This particular writer, sensitive to what's going on in the world in general, being able to see it from a couple of different perspectives, not just so much as a man. Let's put it that way. So there's that. It's a really good book. He goes through various neighborhoods in New York and talks about how changes occur, how changes have occurred over time. He goes back to the Robert Moses era, which many of us have looked into a little bit. I have not read what was his name? Robert Caro, the Power Broker. I think that's the name of the book about Moses, or the books about Moses. But we know that Robert Moses, like, wanted to mow down off half of Greenwich Village to put a highway through, which he failed to do, partly because of the work of Jane Jacobs, who is referred to several times in the book as someone who wants to preserve, someone who wants to keep a city alive, and referring to the soul of the city. It is really about that, about the heart and soul, and what it means when you tear down a neighborhood and build like a shiny glass tower in its stead. When you intentionally remove small businesses and intentionally draw in chains like Starbucks. There's so many times in this book where he talks about the newcomers, the people who have the children of the people who fled the city whatever in the white flight in the 60s or 50s or whenever it was, I guess the 50s, when they went out and built suburbia in parts of New Jersey and lots in Long Island, and that these people, some of these people, these kids, dissatisfied with the suburbs and wanting to come back into town, have moved back into the city. But many of them are not really city people; they are suburban people, and so they crave these suburban things that they lived with back then. So I was from a sort of a suburban thing. I mean, it hasn't really evolved all that much. I'm from Ohio, and my dad was a steel worker, and we lived in a little house, and then we lived in a bigger house because he got union wages, even though he was working swing shifts, a different shift every week. Some weeks during the summer he's sleeping during the day, so you can't really play outside and yell because we don't have air conditioning yet, and so forth. So anyway, my childhood in sort of a suburban situation was not as extreme as it has become since, with all the big box stores. I mean, I got clothes at a men's store, back then in Canton, the city, which is long long gone. Victory Company, Vickery's, and so the idea is that these suburban kids come to New York and they go like, well, where's Starbucks? We have to have Starbucks. Like the attachment of Starbucks is something I don't really understand. I've had Starbucks like twice maybe, and with me, I'm trying to justify myself here in the city. With me also, I kind of fled wherever I was uh, very early on, like at 20 years old, and lived in a small town for 7 years before I came to New York. So I was way out of suburbia for years in a little town, and then moved to New York, and it's never really sucked into the big box sort of a dream of whatever Walmarts and there's no Walmarts in New York City, by the way. Anyway, he really goes through all these things and all neighborhood of changes, and how it's all evolved, and how the administrations of the government assist this. How Bloomberg was particularly bad in that I don't know what the statistic was, but he like rezoned vast amounts of the city and made them subject to being torn down and rebuilt. Now the problem of tearing down things is that this is the city, the old tenements, the old shops, the mom and pop stores, the localism that New York was and still is to a degree, is destroyed, and the quality of life of people is destroyed when they tear down the buildings that they live in, and evict the businesses that they are used to, and give them Starbucks and Target, where alienated workers work, not the people who own the place and care about their business and care about the neighborhood where they are working and living. So I was intending to do a certain amount of readings from the book. I took some notes in the photograph pages, which I said before. So, in the very first page, there is the author's note, And this is, this is quite interesting. If you take away just one thing from this book, let it be this: hyper-gentrification and its free market engine is neither natural or inevitable. It's man-made, intentional, and therefore stoppable. And yet, just as deniers of global warming insist that nothing out of the ordinary is happening to our world's climate, so deniers of hypergentrification say that nothing out of the ordinary is happening to New York, and that its extreme transformation in the 2000s is just natural urban change. Let me be clear, I'm not talking about the weather. I'm talking about the climate. And New York's climate has been catastrophically changed. Thank you for watching. And Vanishing New York is really good, and so is Due Dissidence. And like and subscribe.
Times they are not pretty, pleasures turn to pain. I was chatting with my neighbor, and a bullet pierced his brain. Then in through my window came a robber with a knife. Well, he might take my stereo, or he might take my life. Gotta love your city in a world full of hate. I hope it's not too late. There's nothing left to do, even if it kills you. New York, New York, it's a wonderful town, but it's very, very stressful, and that can bring you down with the stampede of the cattle, but it doesn't have to be. If we could love our city, then maybe we'd be free. Gotta love your city, doesn't help to call the cops until it all just stops. I don't care what you say, and you gotta begin today. In LA and Miami they complain about cocaine, and if you live in Houston you might want to move to Maine. It's too cold in Chicago, so you don't think it's cool. And the kids just get dumber in all the city schools. Gotta love your city, why not take a whack? It might just love you back. We all hold the key, and it will be the seat of love. Then in through my window came a day without a sun. If I knew which direction, I'm sure that I would run. Gotta love your city in a world full